This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson.
Welcome to News 25. We hope you had an amazing Independence Day weekend. It is Tuesday, July 6th. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. Well, California man charged with transporting explosives without a license made his initial appearance today in U.S. District Court in Los Angeles. And authorities allege he purchased most of those explosives at Area 51 Fireworks here in Pahrump.
27-year-old Arturo Saya was arrested Friday night in South Los Angeles. He faces federal charges of illegally transporting tons of explosives that he had allegedly purchased in Pahrump. The criminal complaint against Saya alleges he made several trips to Nevada in late June to purchase various types of explosives that he transported to his home in rental vans. The complaint goes on to say Saya did not possess an ATF explosives license or permit of any kind that would authorize him to transport those types of devices. Authorities say most of those explosives were purchased at Area 51 Fireworks in Pahrump. Authorities say fireworks in California can be sold for as much as 4 times what someone pays for them in Nevada. According to the criminal complaint, Sayad told investigators he bought the homemade explosives from an individual selling the devices out of the trunk of a Honda in the Area 51 parking lot. Last Wednesday, police received a tip that Sayad was storing fireworks in his backyard. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives got involved, and agents determined that Sayad was storing approximately 16 tons of fireworks in his backyard. In addition to the discovery of commercial fireworks, the initial search of Sayad's home turned up more than 140 other homemade fireworks and components used to make fireworks. While removing fireworks from Sayad's residence, the LAPD bomb squad decided some of the explosives were too risky to move, so they decided to destroy them on site using a total containment vessel. During the destruction of those devices, the entire containment vessel exploded, damaging nearby homes and injuring 17 law enforcement personnel and civilians. The ATF is leading the investigation. The charge of transporting explosives without a license carries a statutory maximum sentence of 10 years in federal prison.
A weekend shooting here in town leaves one man in critical condition and another on the run.
The Nye County Sheriff's Office is looking for this man, 25-year-old Anthony Bell. Bell is wanted in connection with a shooting Friday night on Lout Drive in Pahrump. Bell is described as a white male, 5'8", 140 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. He was last seen driving this car, a silver Lexus bearing California plate AC11K08. As seen in these photographs, the back of his car is plastered with a number of bumper stickers. The Sheriff's Office says Bell should be considered armed and dangerous. If you know anything about the shooting or where Bell might be, you are asked to contact the Nye County Sheriff's Office. As for the man who was shot, Fire Chief Scott Lewis describes the call.
So on Friday evening, we were dispatched for a report of a shooting. We found an individual who had sustained 2 gunshot wounds. We provided necessary care. We realized that patient needed to get to trauma. We added Mercy Air to our assignment. We transported that patient to Base 21, and the patient was subsequently flown to trauma for care.
The Sheriff's Office says the victim, who has not been identified, was last reported in critical condition at University Medical Center in Las Vegas.
Well, Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue and Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to a 3-vehicle crash Sunday afternoon at the intersection of Highway 160 and Basin Avenue here in town.
3-vehicle accident occurred at Basin Highway 160. Crews responded, arrived in short fashion, and confirmed that there was no entrapment. While there was one injured, all the occupants, all the drivers claimed non-injury and declined to go to the hospital.
And the fire chief updates us about a motorcyclist that was transported to Desert View Hospital Friday evening after a collision at the intersection of David Street and Wilson Road.
We were dispatched a report of a 2-vehicle accident. It ended up being a pickup truck versus a motorcycle. The motorcyclist was transported to our local hospital, and the Sheriff's Office was investigating as to the cause.
And of course, a busy weekend for the fire and rescue. A weekend fire at a home on Starlight Drive in Pahrump may have been ignited by improperly discarded smoking materials. Fire Chief Scott Lewis reminds everyone that any type of spark or ember can easily ignite dry materials.
We're dispatched to the area 300 block of Starlight for a structure fire just after 5:30 p.m. this afternoon. We arrived on location and found a working fire involving the front porch. The fire had extended to the underside. crews made great progress, pulled up the porch surface, extinguished the fire without it getting to the primary dwelling. There were no injuries. It is thought to be accidental in nature. It's a possibility that the fire may have been ignited by improperly discarded smoking materials. Improperly discarded smoking materials have a tendency to start a lot of different fires, especially when there's an overabundance of discarded dead and down material from trees. And in this case, we had an abundance of pine needles and other materials that were in that immediate area. And so, yeah, we want to remind people to police and make sure they maintain the areas and keep them as clean and safe as possible.
More from News 25 on the other side of this break.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back. Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies were called to investigate a reported stabbing leading to one man's arrest.
On July 2nd, deputies were dispatched to a location in Pahrump for a reported stabbing. Upon arrival, they allegedly made contact with multiple individuals due to the residence being a possible group home. According to the declaration of arrest, a male who was identified as Michael Stepp was in a verbal argument with another male who stated that Stepp hit him, causing him to flee towards his friend's bedroom and lock the door. Stepp allegedly followed and broke down the locked door with a large kitchen knife in his hand. Another male reportedly intervened to save his friend by putting his hand out towards Stepp. Stepp then placed the knife in the man's hand and stated that he was ready to go to jail now. According to the declaration of arrest, Stepp was located at the rear side of the residence and placed into custody without incident. He was read his rights and declined speaking to deputies. Michael Stepp was then arrested for assault with a deadly weapon and home invasion.
Thanks so much, Krista, for that report. Well, another Freedom Festival is in the books, and Eddie O'Brien, on behalf of Zambelli Fireworks, says thanks to some help from volunteers, this year's fireworks extravaganza was a big success.
I felt that the show altogether went great. I had a couple things that happened at the beginning of the show. However, some of the staff actually got me through that, and we were able to get it off. I'm always going over things. I'm trying to figure things out, trying to get things set in stone to where I can have a hopefully flawless shoot, and that's exactly what I got. And like I said, I'm grateful for that. Yeah, a huge shout out, by the way, to my dad's crew for helping me drop the racks and stuff, the firing tubes. My uncle JC, he helped me actually. This is the reason why I was coming in early, was because I had so much stuff I was putting in. So my uncle helped me out with that, and then the week went by, and then my uncle Pat, my sister, her boyfriend, they all helped me in these little ways and stuff. Cody Siegel helped me out, Melissa, Rick. I mean, everybody played a huge role in the setup, but yeah, it was basically me there for most of the nights and stuff. I think I spent close to 50 plus hours there at the park. Other than that, I appreciate the crowd and everybody just coming out and enjoying the show. It was a long week, that's for sure, and I'm glad everybody loved it. And the 4th of July, it's one of those times of the year that I look at, and I have a very high standard when it comes to that. So.
Thanks to the O'Briens and, of course, Zambelli Fireworks for that almost 30-minute show, and, of course, Ace Country Radio, who played the accompaniment music. That was the 49th Annual Freedom Festival. Next year, the Big 50. Well, Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue responded to a number of brush fires over the weekend, many of which are suspected to have been caused by the illegal use of fireworks. Fire Chief Scott Lewis says most of the activity started around the time of the fireworks spectacular at Petrick Park.
So just as the main show commenced, we started receiving brush fires throughout the valley. In total, we responded to approximately 20 brush-related incidents within about a 4 to 5 hour period. Instead of having them in a concentrated time period, we actually were responding throughout the evening and all throughout the night.
And even days before, right?
Yeah, and even days before. Obviously, brush season is, in full bloom right now with us. And we're responding to a lot of fireworks-related calls as well as other ignition sources.
You had two pretty significant, or at least one pretty significant call over there from Mesquite and Banovich, and then another one off of Malibu and Gamebird that were started by fireworks. And there was evidence of material there. Can you tell me, has there been any leads on those?
There's been no immediate leads. We are continuing our investigation. It did involve some federal resources on that response. And several mesquite groves and salt cedar groves were afire. No immediate structure exposures, and there were no injuries.
Thanks to the firefighters for all they did over the weekend. Well, if you have eczema and psoriasis, we'll tell you more about that and what you can do right after this break.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on.
Well, if you have eczema or psoriasis, you've probably been told that spending time out in the sun can be good for your skin. And while that's true, a Cleveland Clinic dermatologist says it's also important to make sure you're not overdoing it.
That's a common question I get. Can I get a little sun and see if that helps? And I think that that's an important thing to think about, especially if you have psoriasis or atopic dermatitis. It's important to keep in mind, though, that the sun increases your risk of skin cancer, especially the most deadly type of skin cancer, melanoma. So you still want to be careful and practice smart sun behaviors.
Dr. Melissa Piliong says if you do plan to spend some time in the sun to help with your skin condition, make sure you're only out there for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. You don't want to get sunburned. She recommends wearing sunscreen on all areas of your body you don't want exposed directly to the sun. And speaking of sunscreen, you should be using one with an SPF over 30 that is broad spectrum and water resistant. You could also wear a hat and sun protective clothing. Dr. Piliong says even though the sun can be beneficial, it should not replace other forms of treatment like light therapy and prescription medications.
There are so many treatment options out there beyond just sunlight or the moisturizers you can buy over the counter. The dermatologist can help you get your skin clear and on a treatment that is safe and effective and you can tolerate well.
Unfortunately, there is no known cure for skin conditions like eczema or psoriasis, but Dr. Piliong says light therapy and medication really can make a difference.
Well, thanks so much to Brad Francis for that report. It's time to meet another pet available for adoption from one of our local shelters. For today's Save a Pet, we're back at Desert Haven, where Darby O'Donnell introduces us to a cat named Blaze.
Hi, I'm Darby here at Desert Haven Animal Society, and today we are joined with Blaze. Blaze is this beautiful 3-year-old male orange tabby. He has the longer fur, and his orange is actually really kind of dulled. It actually kind of looks more creamy. I think he's like an orange creamsicle, but beautiful white chest, pretty eyes, very, very light orange color. Super sweet little boy. He just wants to go for his forever home. Loves attention, loves to have a cuddle. He makes these cute little mew sounds at you. Super adorable. So if you want to come and see Blaze or any of his friends here at Desert Haven Animal Society, please call ahead of time to make an appointment, 775-751-7020, or you can look them up on their Facebook page. And just a reminder, cats do not go and get used to new homes and new environments like dogs. So they need a little bit of time to get acquainted with their new home. So please go and set up an area that they can retreat to. So when they get overstimulated, they can go there, they can calm down, and they can get kind of used to it. Cats actually can take up to 2 weeks to go and get used to a new environment. And also, some cats get overstimulated really easily. So if you notice your cat starts kind of biting at you or going and batting at your hand or anything, it means that they need to play. They have a lot of energy, so they can't be pet right now. They are not in a cuddly mood. They need to have activity. So you will probably want to go and get a toy, play with your cat a little bit until they can calm down, so then they can be the cuddly, fluffy kitty that you want them to be. Again, so if you want to come and see Blaze or any of his friends here at Desert Haven Animal Society, give them a call ahead of time, 775-751-7020, or look them up on their Facebook page at Desert Haven Animal Society. Bye, Blaze.
News 25 Weather Cam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Hi, it's John Kohler staring out the Kpvm weather window. Whoa, look at Fremont Street. How would you love to be a street performer in a Wookiee costume down there today? 113 degrees in Vegas. Oh, Lord. We'll be back with a complete weather report right after this.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the Kpvm Channel 25 Weather Studios. Lovely to see you on a Tuesday. A long weekend. Y'all made it back. Hey, congratulations. Let's take a look at the weather scores. We look up and down the state. We got a lot of heat going on. Oh, man. Look up north. Friendly Fallon, you're all the way over into triple digits, 102, 104 degrees. Mid-state's not looking like great, but 96 degrees in Tonopah, kind of the highlight of the cool weather in the state. Down to Beatty, we're up to triple digits, and then some 106 degrees, 112 in Amargosa. 113 in Las Vegas today. Oh my, they're sweating it down on the sidewalks there for sure. Death Valley, you're up to 121 degrees, making us all look silly. Here in the paradise of Pahrump, well, it's not too bad. I mean, kind of. It's 107 is our current temperature. Was a little worse earlier, but not too bad. Sun rose this morning, 5:32 a.m. It stayed pretty pleasant until about noon, and then boy, that heat really creeps up and gets oppressive, doesn't it? It'll set this evening about 8:04 p.m. is when we're heading for sunset, and an 80-degree low for a temperature tonight. Southeasterly winds kindly at 8 miles per hour, not stirring up too much of that convective oven effect. Let's take a look at what's coming up for the rest of the week. 110, 110, it's going to be 110 degrees all week long. In fact, a little bit warmer towards the weekend. The wind's staying calm at about 10 miles per hour, and at night, well, about mid-80s is where we're expecting. This is a great time to hit the pool late at night because the water's just right after the sunset, and that's what I'm going to do. It's just a recommendation. An idea. How about that for a Tuesday evening? Let's head back to the desk. It's Deanna. Here you go.
Thanks so much, John. Well, more and more students are getting a jump on their life plans as early as high school, from college credits to simply exposure and experience. It's a win-win for students. This week, Kim Martinez shows us an engineering class that students are using to build on a potential future in that field.
I wish that I had this much stuff when I was a high school student because it's really cool.
Just chalk that statement up to teacher envy. Chris Freestone, engineering teacher, is talking about his classroom, which includes a maker's space.
A maker's space is it's essentially a place where, students can come in and learn how to use tools and how to kind of improve their hands-on skills.
So this thing is an amazing bridge. Why is it so strong?
So basically like the layering of the balsa wood and then also these cross pieces add a lot of strength.
President Ed Hearn says the makerspace supports a trend the all-boys school St. Augustine saw developing amongst its students.
More boys every year were taking calculus or leaving school here and majoring in a math-orientated course. So we started going, well, how do we support that?
We want to see if it can withstand earthquakes both in the summer and the winter.
Building competitions are just another way that interest is supported.
I like to give them kind of a hands-on learning experience for how do you design a bridge? How do you make something strong?
Parent Tony Dagnese, an engineer himself, calls the lab an incredible learning opportunity.
It gives them an understanding of what engineering's about, what discovery is.
His son Max agrees and sees another advantage.
I can go into college already knowing how to use these machines and how to operate these things.
For these guys, it's kind of cool for them to have the opportunity to come in and say, okay, well, what type of engineering do I like? Do I like electrical engineering for part of our electrical engineering projects? Do I like the design part where I come up with the design and then I just hand it off to the manufacturing guys and they do everything? Or do I like the hands-on stuff?
I think we're pretty privileged to be here and having all these cool equipment.
Kim Martinez reporting.
Thanks so much, Kim. Well, throughout the West, law enforcement agencies had seen a dangerous trend in excessive speeds, including speeds of 100 miles per hour or more. As fewer drivers were on the roads during the COVID-19 pandemic, some who were on the roads were driving even faster. In many states, citations for excessive speed have increased, as well as fatal and serious injury crashes and speed-related vehicle rollovers. Some states saw the dangerous trend peak with an increase in fatality crashes over the recent Memorial Day weekend. To help prevent serious injury crashes during that busy summer travel season, law enforcement agencies across the West have joined forces with a unified message reminding drivers that safe speeds are essential to keeping people safe. In total, there were 1,132 tickets and 45 arrests between the coalition states of Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, North Dakota, Oregon, South Dakota, Utah, Washington, and Wyoming. And of course, that is that Joining Forces campaign. And speaking of rollovers, there is a single vehicle tractor trailer rollover right now on Highway 95. And that driver of that diesel was transported by ground ambulance to Desert View Hospital. You can see more about that breaking news story on our local Prompt Facebook page. And of course, we'll have an update on that on tomorrow night's broadcast. That does it for this edition of News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. Good night.